The glow of the laptop screen illuminated his tired face. Deadlines loomed, each email a tiny hammer tapping away at his dwindling reserves of patience. His daughter, Lily, stood at the edge of his concentration, a wisp of a question clinging to her lips. He vaguely registered her presence, a small tug on the fabric of his awareness, but the spreadsheet held him captive. Numbers, not bedtime stories, were his current companions. "Not now, Lily," he mumbled, his eyes glued to the screen. "Daddy's working." The words tasted stale even as he spoke them. How many times had he uttered that same phrase, a shield against the demands of fatherhood? He didn't even look up. He didn't see the flicker of disappointment cross her face before she silently retreated. The blue light of the screen seemed to intensify, drawing him deeper into its digital embrace. He was adrift in a sea of data, a world where deadlines mattered more than goodnight kisses. He knew somewhere in the back of his mind that he was neglecting something precious, but the siren song of productivity drowned out the whispers of his conscience. Lily didn't ask again. She understood with the uncanny intuition of children that her father was lost in a world where she couldn't follow. Instead, she retreated to her room, her small shoulders slumped with a sadness she couldn't quite articulate. She clutched a worn teddy bear, its fur rubbed thin with love, and stared out the window at the twilight sky. She had wanted to show him a drawing, a colourful explosion of crayons on construction paper that represented hours of focused effort and a heart full of love. It was meant for him, a gift to brighten his day. But the moment had passed, and with it, the excitement of sharing. She carefully placed the drawing on his desk, a silent offering at the altar of his work. The house was quiet, the silence filled with unspoken words and missed opportunities. Lily, used to the routine, occupied herself with quiet games, her small world shrinking to accommodate her father's absence. He was physically present, but his spirit, his attention was lost in the digital ether. He finally looked up, startled by the sudden silence. The house was dark, save for the blue glow emanating from his laptop. He had lost track of time, sucked into the vortex of work. Exhaustion tugged at him, but there was a nagging sense of unease. He had missed dinner, missed Lily's bedtime, missed another chance to be present. His gaze fell upon the drawing at the corner of his desk. He picked it up, the paper crinkling softly under his touch. A wave of guilt washed over him. He had been so caught up in his own world that he hadn't even noticed her gift. He stared at the drawing, his heart heavy with regret. It was a simple depiction of their family, stick figures with exaggerated smiles. But it held a universe of love and longing. His gaze drifted to an old wooden box tucked away on a shelf. It had belonged to his father, filled with journals and mementos from a life lived before the digital age. He hadn't opened it in years, the weight of his father's absence still a tangible ache. But tonight, driven by a need to connect, he reached for it. Inside the box, nestled among faded photographs and handwritten letters, he found a small, leather-bound journal. Its pages were filled with his father's familiar script, a chronicle of dreams, fears, and everyday moments. He remembered his father writing in it, a look of quiet contentment on his face. He had always meant to read them, to glimpse into the man behind the father, but life, as it often did, got in the way. As he leafed through the brittle pages, a small metallic object slipped out and clattered onto the desk. It was a memory chip, sleek and modern, in stark contrast to the antique journal. A label, written in his father's handwriting, simply said, "For my son, listen and remember." Intrigued, he plugged the chip into his laptop. A program booted up, its interface surprisingly intuitive. It was an AI built from the data extracted from his father's journals and letters. His father's voice, a little deeper than he remembered, filled the room. "If you're hearing this, then I'm gone," the AI began, the words tinged with a melancholy that resonated deep within him. A father's regret. He listened transfixed as his father's AI spoke of his life, his hopes, his dreams, and his regrets. He spoke of the long hours he had spent at work, driven by a desire to provide for his family. He spoke of the missed birthdays, the postponed vacations, the constant promise of someday that never seemed to arrive. "Don't make the same mistakes I did," the AI said, his voice filled with a sadness that transcended the digital medium. "Time once lost can never be recovered. Choose your family. Choose to be present. Those spreadsheets, those deadlines, they will always be there. But your children, they won't." His father's words, echoing across time and technology, struck a chord within him. He thought of Lily, of her small attempts to get his attention, of the quiet disappointment that he had so carelessly dismissed. He had been so focused on building a future that he had neglected the present, the precious moments that slipped through his fingers like grains of sand. Mirroring the past. A wave of shame washed over him. He saw himself in his father's words, recognized the same driven ambition that had blinded his father to the simple joys of family life. He had been repeating the past, blindly following in his father's footsteps, without realizing the path led to the same destination of regret. He thought of Lily's drawing, the vibrant colors a stark contrast to the sterile glow of his laptop screen. He had been so busy chasing success that he had failed to notice the beauty and love that surrounded him. His work, important as it was, paled in comparison to the irreplaceable bond he shared with his daughter. The AI continued, sharing anecdotes and memories that painted a vivid portrait of his father as a young man, full of dreams and aspirations. He heard stories of his father's own childhood, of the mischief he got into, the lessons he learned, the love he shared with his own parents. It was a glimpse into a side of his father he had never known, a side that resonated with his own experiences as a father. He listened for hours, the digital voice filling the silence of the night with the echoes of a life lived and loved. He laughed at his father's jokes, felt a pang of sadness at his disappointments, and marveled at the depth of his love for his family. Through his father's words, he began to understand his own father, not just as a parent, but as a man who had faced his own challenges and triumphs. He realized that the legacy his father had left behind wasn't measured in wealth or professional achievements, but in the love and memories he had woven into the fabric of their lives. It was a legacy he was in danger of squandering, blinded by the same ambition that had clouded his father's vision. As dawn broke, he closed his father's journal, the memory chip resting on its worn cover. He felt a profound sense of gratitude for the gift his father had left him, a gift that transcended death and technology. He had been given a second chance, an opportunity to break the cycle of regret and choose a different path. He walked into Lily's room, his heart filled with a newfound clarity. She was still asleep, her face peaceful and serene in the soft morning light. He sat down beside her bed, watching the rise and fall of her chest as she breathed. He had been so preoccupied with providing for her future that he had forgotten to cherish her present. He wouldn't make that mistake again. He would choose to be present, to be the father she deserved. Work would always be there, but these precious years of her childhood were fleeting. He wouldn't let them slip away. When Lily woke up, he was ready. He greeted her with a smile, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. He asked about her dreams, listened intently as she recounted the adventures she had experienced in her sleep. He made her favorite breakfast, the kitchen filled with the sounds of laughter and the sizzle of pancakes. That day, he put work aside. He took Lily to the park, pushing her on the swings and marveling at her infectious laughter. He listened to her stories, told with wide-eyed wonder and boundless imagination. He held her hand as they walked, feeling the warmth of her small palm against his. He realized that the most valuable gift he could give her wasn't material possessions or a trust fund, but something far more precious, his time, his undivided attention, his love. He had been given a second chance, not just to be a better father, but to be a better man. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, he held Lily close. He breathed in the sweet scent of her hair, committing the moment to memory. he had rediscovered the truth his father had tried to impart, that the greatest treasures in life are not found in spreadsheets or bank accounts, but in the hearts of those we love. He had been given a precious gift, a legacy passed down not through blood or inheritance, but through the power of shared experiences and the enduring strength of love. He would carry his father's words with him, a constant reminder to choose love, choose family, choose to be present in each and every moment. For in the tapestry of life, it is the small, seemingly insignificant moments that, when woven together, create a masterpiece of love and connection.